Hi, everybody, and welcome to today's Germination Retail Roundtable webinar. My name is Mark Zinkowitz, and I serve as editor for Germination, and I'm happy to be your host today. Today's webinar is about Seeds Canada. It's our new national seed organization, which comes into effect on February 1st, which is this coming Monday. Before we get started, I would just like to thank our webinar sponsors, SeCan and 2020 Seed Labs, for their support. And during the webinar, you'll likely have some questions for our speakers. Please type these into the chat box at any time, and we'll address them during our Q&A portion. Also, I'd like to let you know that this webinar is being recorded and will be available on our website, germination.ca, following the event. Now, as I mentioned, this coming Monday, February 1st, will be a big day for the seed industry. It is the official launch of Seeds Canada, a new national seed organization. It's an exciting event for a lot of people in the seed industry, including myself. I've spent about the past 5 years, I guess, covering Seeds Canada at the Seeds Canada discussions. And so after 5 long years, it's definitely exciting to see it finally happen. We wanted to do this webinar to inform our audience about Seeds Canada. Obviously, a lot of people in the seed industry already know a lot about Seeds Canada, but there are people who maybe haven't been keeping up to date every single step of the way. And so we just wanted to introduce you to the new organization, some of the people involved, and talk a little bit about how Seeds Canada could benefit industry stakeholders in terms of making the seed sector more efficient, allowing us to adapt faster, and enabling things like innovation in the seed space. Our first speaker today is Ellen Sparry. She's General Manager for C&M Seeds, and she's also a Seeds Canada inaugural board member. Welcome to the webinar today, Ellen.
Thanks, Mark. Thanks for giving us the opportunity to provide an update on where we are on Seeds Canada as we roll into February 1, which I think, not counting, I think we're 3 days away. So,
yes, well, thank you for taking the time today. You're in Ontario, so I guess you're probably a little bit warmer there than we are here in Manitoba.
Well, we probably, I think it's minus 13 or something, minus 20 tonight. So we're in a bit of a cold spell, but yeah, it's okay. We'll get through it all. It's winter in Canada. So
we are Canadians. We will get through it. So
that's right. That's right.
Thanks again for your time today. Yeah, so you have a little slideshow for us today. You're going to talk about Seeds Canada, give us a little bit of information about the organization and its structure and how it will function. So I'll turn things over to you, and then we'll take a few questions.
Great. Sounds great. So again, thanks for the opportunity to provide everybody with a little bit of an update as we get Seeds Canada rolling here in a few days. So first of all, what's new? Again, we were disappointed that our seed grower industry partners have chosen to take a different road, but happy that the 4 remaining organizations, so that's the CPTA, CSAC, which is our Analysts Association, CSI, and the Canadian Seed Trade Association, they all voted to continue on and have amalgamated into one new national seed association called Seeds Canada. So the official launch, as we've already said, is going to be on Monday, February 1. And our website as well, you can see the website address there off to the side. It will be active on February 1 as well. So please feel free to visit there and get a few more details. So Seeds Canada will be the leading voice of the Canadian seed sector, helping our members succeed and grow in Canada and around the world. Bringing the 4 national seed associations together will result in a stronger lobbying voice for the seed sector and enhanced services for members and clients. As Seeds Canada, we will come together to accomplish things that we could never have done separately. So bringing 4 national seed associations together will result in a stronger lobbying voice for the seed sector and enhanced services for members and clients. The value of Seeds Canada includes a streamlined national organization, best-in-class member and client services, excellence in professional development for members, strengthened industrial competitiveness, and shaping a globally recognized industry that grows and innovates in every region and all segments of the value chain. Benefits to members will include access to increased staff resources when we bring all staff from the 4 organizations together, expanded IT platforms and member services, larger, more inclusive networking events, a stronger lobbying voice, more opportunities to engage, shape policies, and improve public communications, and the ability to participate in committees, and increase professional development. So the membership of Seeds Canada is expected to continue to grow, and we would certainly encourage our seed grower partners to join Seeds Canada as well. So growers, of course, play an integral role in the seed system, and Seeds Canada needs their involvement to succeed. So membership is voluntary and offered in 3 classes: business class, affiliate class, and the professional class. Membership fees for existing members of the 4 organizations will be transferred into Seeds Canada and will not increase. New members will be required to apply for membership and pay a fee as set by the Board of Directors. And the Board of Directors has also been charged to do a full fee review and to have that completed before February 1 of 2022. And again, for more information on the classes, please feel free to visit that Seeds Canada website. So the governance structure, Seeds Canada will be diverse, inclusive, and democratic. All members will have an equal voice at the table, regardless of size, and will work together on behalf of Canada's seed sector. So the inaugural board has 15 members, with the option in the future to adjust the board size to between 11 and 15 members. Directors will be elected by the seed sector business class members, but any member in good standing in any of the 3 membership classes can stand for election. The board will not have set positions representing regional or value chain segments. Instead, we've opted for a skills matrix to be used to ensure broad overall representation of the industry. So who are those 15 members on the inaugural board? You listed here in front of you: Annie Bergeron, Philippe Charlebois, Georges José, Chris Churko, Brent Collins, Diane Galuli, myself, Eric McLean, Holly Gellick, Monica Kloss, Jeff Leeson, Jeff Reid, Jim Wilson, Nick Sekulik, and Quentin Martin. So these board members were selected with that goal of diversity and inclusiveness to represent the needs of members across the diverse growing regions of the country and the 4 amalgamating partners. So this is the proposed committee structure for Seeds Canada. It's comprised of operating committees, that is the Executive Committee, Governance and Nominating, and Finance Audit Committees. There's also 4 steering committees: Business Services, Diversity and Inclusion, Advocacy and Communications, Seed Testing and Quality Assurance. And then we have several Policy and Issues Committees. So the Policy and Issues Committees do reflect committees that existed under the Canadian Seed Trade Association structure. So those are coming forward, but as with any committee, we will evaluate all the committees that we have and decide if we need to add some, perhaps change some around to better represent Seeds Canada membership, and of course move those committees forward. So the structure is very important. So one of the things we heard from members was the way things were presented. I think in the first round there was a layer, so to speak, between the members and the board. So the way we have things structured right now, it does give the members sort of direct access to move issues, I guess, forward to the board of directors, so that there's no delay on important matters, that they get right into in front of the board to act and move forward. So Seeds Canada services. Seeds Canada will continue to offer all original services of each of the 4 founding organizations. This will ensure continuity and uninterrupted flow of service offerings moving forward. So there are 3 types of services under Seeds Canada. Member-based services are exclusive to members of Seeds Canada, and the items such as communications, regulatory affairs, professional development, programming, and advocacy. Client-based services associated with seed industry regulation and operations. So examples are the RSE accreditations and training for seed quality assurance activities. Non-seed services such as organic certification. These services will be provided on a cost recovery basis, so paid for by the user. And these client-based services are not subsidized by membership fees. So we also have corporate services, including human resources, financial services, board governance, and IMIT. So the amalgamation of services across the value chain under one Seeds Canada umbrella will provide greater ease and simplicity in accessing a wide array of services by members. So organizations, so Seeds Canada, I already mentioned, we're bringing the staff of all the 4 amalgamating organizations forward. The search for the executive director is currently underway. Seeds Canada will build on existing strengths, finding efficiencies and identifying functional opportunities to provide improved services to members and clients. Seeds Canada will be headquartered in Ottawa, Ontario, with 1 office for all functional groups to support integration. And there is an option, however, for remote work to include any Seeds Canada employees that are outside of the Ottawa area. And Seeds Canada may enter into memorandums of understanding with other associations as required to support shared concerns. So I think that's all I have, Mark, right now on the update. I'm not sure if there's any questions or...
Yes, we do have some questions. Thank you so much, Ellen. Actually, we do, some of the questions we're getting, Eric might be able to help us answer them as well.
Sure.
So before we take questions, actually, I'm going to introduce our next speaker, Eric McLean. He's owner at J.S. Henry & Son here in Manitoba, and he's also a Seeds Canada inaugural board member. Welcome, Eric.
Hi, guys. Thank you for having me.
Now, before we chat with you, Eric, I just thought I would bring you online just in case you're able to help us answer some of these questions as an inaugural board member of Seeds Canada as well. First question is, how will Seeds Canada be defining and measuring diversity and inclusivity, and what targets are you setting to reach this goal?
That's a good question. I wasn't prepared for that kind of depth of question anyways, but why don't we just dive right in? The great thing about bringing together all these organizations is the depth of character and abilities that we're going to have from all 4 organizations to be able to tackle the issues. And we're not going to have to rely on the talent pool from just one as we have in the past. I'm hoping that what we're going to do, and we've already assigned some committee chair people to this committee, and this is one of the issues that we're going to be tackling up first, is to see about diversity and inclusion, to make sure that we're not going to miss out on any opportunities to have the membership addressed, and to make sure that they're comfortable with what we're doing and how we're performing, and to take those ideas into consideration. So do I have a big rollout plan for you at this point? No, we're hoping to get into launch phase. We're going to bring us online here on February 1st. We're going to digest the committees. We're going to get things cooking, and then we're going to start diving into things in the new year. So I don't know what if there's another question or not, but I think that goes with that one anyway. So
for sure, yeah, and again, we've obviously diversity inclusion committee is part of the one of the steering committees. We do, moving forward, still have to set some terms of reference for those committees. So certainly setting the measurements, etc., will be part of that process.
I have a question regarding the committee structure regarding biotech. Is that included under the plant breeding committee, or how will that work exactly?
Trying to remember if there wasn't I'm going to go back to that slide, Mark, for a sec.
Sure, yeah, absolutely.
I thought biotech was IP. So biotech.
Yeah, I see there's the plant breeding committee.
Yeah, yep, for sure. So, I mean, biotech would probably fall under, depending on the topic, I guess, that you're pertaining to. Could be that we may add that at some point, or, depending on the topic that you're addressing with a certain question, it might fall under IP, plant breeding, one of those other committees. Yeah. Yep.
Great, thanks, Ellen.
That's a specific answer, I guess, on that one either.
In regards to working with growers, now, Eric, obviously you're a member of the Canadian Seed Growers Association, and you actually are as well, Ellen. How do you envision working with growers, not just seed growers, but growers in general, farmer customers? How do you envision working with them to advocate for policy objectives nationally? Can you guys offer us a few insights regarding that?
For me, Mark, I believe what our entirety of this scenario, in my viewpoint, is that what we're trying to do is base the notion around the fact that we're trying to improve and increase the ability of our members to be able to market their seed products. Some of the organizations, obviously CSTA has had a lobbying wing that was trying to make sure that we have open market access. Other things that have happened with that group. The CSGA had no mandate up until now to have a lobbying effort to it to address things on terms of growers' needs or desires. And from my perspective, over the last 14 years of being involved with Manitoba Seed Growers Association and then the national entity of the CSGA, the thing that was always missing for me was that when we got together, we always had our hat on saying that we are growers, but most of us were always talking about business. In the background, we're always saying, well, what are you going to grow next year? How are you going to grow it? How much are you going to grow? What are you going to do with it? How are you going to make it? How are you going to get that off your farm and into the hands of the farmers? We never talked about regulations, and we never talked about the idea of how we can, put more of these things in place in terms of what we do for regulation and for making sure that the industry is kept in check. We always talked about selling product. And when we got out of that scenario of things, that's the big unifying factor here. Bringing the organizations together, we're still going to be able to have all these 4 different organizational people looking at things from a perspective of a trade, sales, retail, marketing division of ideas. We're going to be looking at the collectiveness of the seed analysts to be able to say, look at it and say, well, what can we do to make sure that these things are all happening? We're going to look at CSI people to say, what else can we do to make our operations more efficient while creating that best of quality product that we've been known to have. And these are the things that are going to keep carrying us forward on this. So from a grower's perspective, from a farmer's perspective, if you're a farmer who's going to be trying to branch out, you're going to be trying to find somebody who's going to, sell that extra bit of seed for you. Maybe a marketing contact in the East versus the West. Maybe it's an overseas connection. Maybe it's just to be able to put your ideas off of the CEO of one of the companies you've been trying to work with, because a lot of the time when you get to regional meetings, you usually deal with a regional rep, and ideas only flow so far up the chain. When you're looking at coming to our meetings in the future, you're going to have a room full of all the layers of management of the corporations and the companies and the people that you want to talk to. And those hall room conversations can occur. Those ideas can flow. And that's what I'm looking forward to the most. And that's what I've seen in the past when we've had combined meetings in the past when the seed growers and the seed trade were working together. And that's what I see as the value that comes from it, is the networking.
Yeah, and I think as well, if we go back through CSTA's history as well, that we've always had discussions with grower groups, national and provincial, and I would anticipate that those would transfer forward with Seeds Canada, so maintain those connections and carry on those discussions to keep moving the industry as a whole forward for everybody's benefit.
Well, and this was something I was going to ask Eric, but now we have both of you here. Eric and Ellen, I mean, you're both you're both business people. You both have a lot on your plate, very, very busy schedules. But what made you want to be at the board table of Seeds Canada? Maybe we'll start with Ellen for this question. What made you want to be so heavily involved in this new organization?
So there's probably a couple of different answers. So one is, coming forward on the CSTA board, obviously pretty invested over several years to see this all through to completion. So that was one reason, was just to kind of finish off that chapter in my history, I suppose, so to speak. And the other, as a smaller family-run business, was for the same reason we joined CSTA, was to, if it's, I said, be the change you want to see. So if you have issues, challenges, and you want to see change, you need to be involved to see those forward. So, and again, the fact that, always on the board, on CSTA, I felt my voice was as important as other businesses of different sizes. So, I felt like I had something to contribute and share and help make change.
How about you, Eric? What made you want to get involved?
Well, mine starts back about 5 or 6 years ago. I was finishing off my presidency and going into my past presidency of the Manitoba Seed Growers Association when I'm pretty sure I was the one who put up my hand and said that we need to look at working together with CSTA and to formally start the idea of merger activities because of the notion of working together and making sure that we could reduce duplicity and streamline these meetings. And it became a notion of that thing and worked itself along to where we got to in this past. And so for me, my business started same as maybe like what Ellen was alluding to. We were a good little regional retailer and grower of seed products, and as evolution kept coming, we kept saying yes to opportunities, as they came along. So we saw our business grow. And why did I get involved intimately now in the idea of coming on the Seeds Canada board? Well, as Ellen kind of said, but I'll put it a little bit more bluntly, it's kind of the put up or shut up kind of mentality. So if I stirred up this nest 5-6 years ago in my own right, and I feel like I need to keep seeing it through. And being that I worked my way through the ranks of the provincial association and held a directorship for a couple of years for Manitoba's regard or on their behalf for the seed growers, the CSGA, I feel like it's a launching platform for me. I need to keep moving on the direction that I've put forward. So I really feel strongly about what we've done with the merger activities, and I want to make sure that I can share the rest of my vision and however that is. And like Ellen said, if you're there, you can help craft that. And I love hearing from other people, and I love to be able to put their ideas into work. And if I can help do that, that's what I'm hoping to do over the next couple of years. So.
Well, and if I can ask you guys for a second to take off your Seeds Canada board member hats and put on your business hats, and how do you think business people like yourself will benefit from the formation of Seeds Canada? I guess we could start with Eric. Do you have any thoughts, Eric, on just as a business person for you, what the most exciting thing is about all this?
Well, as I alluded to in some of the other preambles, the working together is the big thing. I still see such a strength in having all these partnerships come together to work together. It's very difficult for somebody who hasn't been to the AGMs of the past few years to see the collective workings of all the seed growers and the CSTA in the room, and I said that to I don't know how many people I would even listen to me. I said, it just feels so good in this room right now because we've got all these working partners, all these different personalities intermeshing and intertwining. And at those moments in those AGMs, I felt like, well, this is great. This is exactly where we wanted to head to. We wanted to see those growers interacting with those businesses, those industry people that are in the room. And of course, at that time as well, there was always the seed analysts and the CSI representatives were floating through the rooms as well. And so we had good representation of the staffing and the people that were partaking in those meetings. And that's really where I see that strength. Now, what we need to try to do is keep that connectivity going. it's very difficult through COVID to be able to do these things. As we were talking briefly about how much we really enjoy these remote meetings, it's nothing like having face-to-face. So as we get back into action, that's what I look forward to. But if we happen to still stay in COVID for any length of time, we have to start looking at how we can, keep that networking and keep those communication bridges healthy, and to make sure that we can provide that value. And it's always going to be interesting when you're starting up a new association from scratch, right? So that's what I'm going to be looking at for how we can benefit going in the future, I'm hoping. And we're going to craft that as we go. I'd rather walk beside everybody than try to lead them all. And let's see if we can all walk together and make this thing work.
So yeah, for if I put my C&M hat on, what's the reason, or what's the advantage? And again, as Eric alluded to, it's the networking, it's the connections with people, it's sharing with your peers. So those events when we all get together in one room and maybe sharing a beverage or two where we're talking about our businesses and our challenges, and anything that strengthens the industry as a whole is going to strengthen my business. And something that, again, for the size we are, and we're running our own day-to-day businesses, to move forward as a whole and strengthen the industry is something that I can't do on my own alone. So again, it's that collective effort forward that's going to help my business in the end.
Again, if you have a question, just type it into the chat box. Before we get to our next speaker, what would you both say is the biggest myth about Seeds Canada, and how do you clear that up for people? Ellen, is there a big one that jumps out at you from the last 5 years or so, I guess, that still is hanging on, that you think it would be a good time to kind of clear up?
Well, I guess the one that comes to mind, again, is the fact that there's some impression that that your voice may not be heard amongst a group of small to large, and including multinationals. And again, that's a myth that just does not exist in my experience within my experience with CSTA. That it is member driven, that it is one voice per organization. And again, I've never felt that my opinions or my voice didn't count moving things forward. And again, currently the last president of CSTA, but certainly from family-run business to a president of CSTA, I've never felt that my voice was not equal and heard. So for me, that maybe stands out as a perception that just has not been true.
Eric, how about for you? What's one of the big ones that you've heard?
Well, and Ellen is right on the money with that one. And as a further adjunct to that point is that, from a seed grower perspective, and some of the trepidation about becoming part of Seeds Canada was that a lot of people started to say, well, those big corps and the people running them just don't understand growers' perceptions and issues. And I mean, it's very false, because as Ellen says, and as I'm saying here today, we all started from humble roots. We've all evolved in our business one way or the other and maintained it or grown it. And from that mom and pop kind of shop all the way up to wherever we're at. I think the other thing is that people like to disassociate the familiarity with agriculture when we're in the industry. And what I mean by that is, like, farmers can sit in a silo and say, and growers can say, well, you're not a grower, you don't understand. And what I say when I say to that is that, well, I went away to university when I was a kid. I sat in those rooms with the same people that are managing the companies, or they're part of the companies now today. They're all Aggies. They all inherently wanted to be in part of the industry and to do the best thing. And from my perspective, there's not much differentiation from them to me, other than that they perhaps didn't have that opportunity to go back and farm. And I always look in the room whenever I'm in the room, whether it's in the meeting or at the end of the day with a beverage in hand, as Ellen says too. And you're in the room, and the people who are running these businesses, these big multinational corporations, just want to be an Aggie again. And the farmer in me, the grower in me, is looking back and saying, I just want to be able to learn how to run my business better. And so when you get that matrix going and you get that connectivity going, and you realize you're all just Aggies. You're all just trying to get through your life the way you're trying to plot it out, and there's a lot of things that you can familiarize yourself on and go. So as for me, that's the biggest mindset that I think everybody's going to have to get their head wrapped around, is that we're all in this together, and we're all trying to make the industry better and to propel it into the future.
Yeah, we all just want to learn and do better, right?
Yeah.
Before we hear from Jeff Reid of SeCan, I want one more question. What will Seeds Canada's relationship be to AAFC public plant breeding? Is there an intention for Seeds Canada to contribute funding to research for important public contributions like early stage development? Can either of you offer any potential insight there?
That's a big question.
It is.
That's one now. I don't have anything to say specifically to that, other than that the whole reason for this merger in the first place is to buffer ourselves against the whims of changes in government. The idea that if funding gets cut on something, who's going to shore up the difference? And like we always say, the buck comes back to the primary line. And if that's the grower or the seed business or whoever it is, we're all in this together, like I said, and we're all going to have to figure out how funding models and how breeding is going to progress these things. And so, that's what we're going to have to do. I see it coming quicker than some do, maybe. I know there's some that will say we should put a stop to this and we should make them keep funding everything. And we know that in a post-COVID environment, there's not going to be money for a lot of the programs that we know and love. And we're going to have to figure out a different way to make things work. And so, we have the right people in the room, and the right people put their hands up, as Ellen has said too. We're going to hopefully get those solutions.
Mark, I haven't heard that come up as a topic within the Seeds Canada framework or dialogue. So
yeah, it's there's a lot to be talked about yet. I mean, Monday is launch day, so
absolutely,
Seeds Canada isn't actually even a reality yet. We've got another few days, and so there will be many discussions to come, I am sure. So
yes, there will certainly be.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you very much, Ellen and Eric, for your insights. Feel free to hang on the line, as we may have some more questions come in. So thank you very, very much.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Thanks.
Our next speaker is Jeff Reid. He serves as CEO for SeCan, which is Canada's largest supplier of certified seed. He is also a Seeds Canada inaugural board member. Welcome, Jeff.
Thank you very much, Mark. Happy to be with you today.
I wanted to have you on, Jeff, to sort of give us some insights from the perspective of someone who helps lead a seed brand. A lot of people who are tuning in today work at various seed companies, represent seed brands of their own. So you have a little slideshow for us as well. So I'll give you the floor, and looking forward to your insights.
That's great. Thanks, Mark. And yeah, really what I wanted to do today was I was hoping to just kind of use SeCan as a little bit of a case study to talk about some of the things that we do specifically as SeCan, and how something like Seeds Canada and any industry organization can help its members do those things better, and then also what Seeds Canada is going to be able to do that we as individual seed brands just can't simply do on our own. So many of us at SeCan have been involved in many of the associations, certainly that are going to become part of Seeds Canada, and industry associations right across the ag spectrum. And again, we find that being a part of those organizations just makes us better at what we do, and again helps us to achieve things that we simply can't do on our own. So just a little bit, as I say, a little bit of a case study. So I just wanted to comment a little bit on what we do as SeCan. And that is, many of you likely know, but we're an organization of about 600 member companies right across Canada. And of course, the one thing that our members continually tell us that they're reliant on is that new flow of varieties and innovation that continue to allow them to be profitable in the seed business. So we hear that time and time again, is that's really what they're most concerned with. And much of that acquiring genetics we do on our own, just as SeCan, but we're also dependent on making sure we have an environment out there that really encourages innovation in both the public and private sector, that will allow us to have access to those genetics, and in turn allow our member companies to thrive down the road. So just a few of the things that we do as SeCan, and I have just kind of a list here that is defined by our board of directors, actually, in terms of what our board wants us to achieve on behalf of our members. So first and foremost, it's accessing those leading genetics. And I think coming into Seeds Canada, we think of some of the legacy organizations, of course, CSTA, which has really kind of been almost a hub, if you like, for those developers of new seed innovation in both the public and private sectors. It's hard to believe, but actually as SeCan, we commercialize genetics from actually 67 different breeding programs. So it makes it very challenging, to go out, make all those connections and build that business without one central organization where you can actually go and meet and speak with all those people at one time. We're also always looking out to access seed-related technology and systems, and be that seed treatment, testing, processing equipment, and so on. Seeds Canada will really be a forum for all of those kinds of technology going forward to come together in one place. So that's something we're really excited about. Training and education. As all of us are looking to build our brand, become more professional, better at what we do, we're always looking for better education, continuous improvement. And that's true particularly for smaller companies. In many cases, a large multinational might not need a trade association to provide a lot of that education and training opportunities. But for many of us, we are looking for that, and will be dependent on that as well. Intellectual property, protection and management of intellectual property. Again, something that with a large seed brand, many of them can achieve that on their own. But for many of us in the seed industry as well, we look to an organization like CPTA, which will become part of Seeds Canada, to provide that leadership and direction in that area. Further, having just overall an environment that's conducive to driving efficiency and competitiveness. And, that requires that all of us are in the same room, essentially working together, as has been said by Ellen and Eric. We look forward to things like seed regulatory modernization, and we think that, Seeds Canada is really going to be the go-to organization to help direct that. So all of those things, really, Seeds Canada can help us achieve all of those things that we're all trying to do as individual brands. So as individual brands, I guess, I would say we compete fiercely and independently, but as an industry, we really have to work together collaboratively to get to where, to develop the full potential that this industry really has for our farmer customers right across Canada. So an industry association, again, I would argue that is, it's really most effective when it represents the entire industry. And, when we've seen, I think, a number of examples of that in the past where we've had kind of a segmented seed system, having the growers having one organization's analysts and another pot, the trade, everyone kind of operating in silos. And it doesn't really allow us to have one clear, concise voice that represents the entire value chain. So I think, when we consider what a relatively small industry we are to begin with, that's really kind of counterproductive if we're further segmenting ourselves into those smaller groups. So if we if we look at where our conversations can benefit from having a full value chain discussion, I kind of reflect on some of the things some of the challenges we've faced in the last 10, 15, 20 years or more in the seed industry. I think back to some of the things that we've tackled, like variety registration, and how many years we talked about variety registration, and it seemed like growers and trade and a number of us were on different pages. But in actual fact, in many cases, we were just talking about different crops, but we were kind of talking past each other because, of course, for the most part, we were in different rooms when we were having those discussions. So it took us a long time to really sort of figure out how to get to where we have on variety registration. Then, of course, I don't need to tell most of you about UPOV 91. Of course, UPOV 91 having been signed in 1991. So that means that international convention is now 30 years old. And, I would hate to think that we'll be 25 years late in adopting, what may be the next iteration of UPOV. So, again, by having the whole industry in one room to discuss new opportunities and new ways of advancing our industry is going to be critical. I think about stewardship programs and things like midge-tolerant wheat, and I think actually midge-tolerant wheat was actually a bit of a success story in the Canadian seed industry, and the reason I think we were able to come up with a really workable solution there was that we did have really good buy-in and working together between seed growers and the seed trade, the analysts, CPTA, CSI, everyone kind of played a role in bringing that together. And really that program and all of our stewardship programs, deliver tremendous value to farmers and are going to be critical to our ongoing success in the future. So some of our current and upcoming challenges, of course, value creation. It's been a lot of talk, maybe more talk than progress. We fear at sometimes on value creation, but really, I think to make progress, again, we're going to need everyone in the same room. Really having those good heart-to-heart conversations about what are the issues, how do we move this thing forward, and how do we make sure we can adequately return our plant breeding, get adequate returns to our plant breeding partners. Looking out into the future, things like gene editing, really tremendously exciting opportunities there. What are the impacts going to be on all of us in the seed trade, seed growers, up and down the value chain of gene editing. So that's another one that I think we need to have our eye on and be looking at as Seeds Canada. Other things, low-level presence, post-patent technologies, and of course, seed regulatory modernization, the big upcoming one. And again, these are things that are really going to have big impacts on our future. And I think the discussions around the Seeds Canada board table are going to be, the membership within the membership of Seeds Canada are going to be really critical to determining that path forward. So all that to say, I think Seeds Canada, I'm excited about it because I think it's really going to allow us to do what we do better. And again, as a true full value chain industry association, it's just going to allow us to do a whole lot of things that we, as I say, individuals, individual seed brands, individual seed growers, individual trade members, things that we can't do on our own. We need that broad association with everyone around the same table. So those are my formal remarks, Mark, and happy to answer a few questions if I can.
Thanks so much, Jeff. That was great. If you have a question, please just type it into the chat box. Jeff, you just mentioned that obviously Seeds Canada sort of needs as much participation as it can get. How can broader industry stakeholders contribute to the discussion, whether they're clients of Seeds Canada, whether they decide to become members of Seeds Canada? What's the best way that they can sort of get involved?
Yeah, well, and certainly one of the first things we need to tackle as Seeds Canada is just that whole membership structure and membership fees and so on, because we really need it to be inclusive, and we really want to have broad representation from seed growers and really everyone up and down the value chain. So again, I think there's been to date already a real effort made, again, as Ellen referenced there, to make membership classes that really make it a very open and transparent organization. And I think we need to, ensure that we continue to reflect that in a membership fee structure as well, that makes it, very open and palatable for everyone from small independent players through to multinationals to be involved.
Is there a big myth that you've heard about Seeds Canada that you think would be worth clearing up? Any misunderstandings or anything like that from people who you deal with on a regular basis?
Yeah, well, certainly what Ellen and Eric referenced there, I think, the whole idea of it being somehow a bit of an exclusive club or would, undervalue the smaller players. I think in actual fact, just based on numbers, there are by definition more smaller players than there are larger players. So, I think that it couldn't be further from the truth that, smaller entities would be undervalued. I think if anything, they will be, very highly, if not almost overrepresented within the Seeds Canada structure. So I think that is a myth. I think also, of course, it just happened that we were going through these whole discussions around Seeds Canada in parallel with the whole discussions around value creation. And so I know, certainly reading in the media and so on, there was often this confusion or blending together of the two issues around value creation and the creation of Seeds Canada. So certainly Seeds Canada, obviously will have input on the whole value creation file, but it's by no means, a part of, combined with the formation of Seeds Canada. So I think that's just worth clarifying as well.
Thanks for clearing that up, Jeff. And thank you, Jeff, for your presentation, and thank you very much for your time today, sir.
Thank you, Mark.
Last but not least, I want to turn to our final speaker of the day, Victoria Linden, who is Research Director for Cereals Canada. Welcome, Victoria.
Hi, Mark.
Thank you so much for joining us. Now, Victoria is not directly a member of the seed industry. She's a member of the grain industry specifically. I wanted Victoria, I invited her on today to help bring sort of an outside perspective on these types of amalgamations. You may know that last year, about 9-10 months ago now, two groups in the grain sector amalgamated. As we'll hear from Victoria, the Canadian International Grains Institute, or CIGI, got together with Cereals Canada to form a new organization, which is called Cereals Canada. They decided to keep the name, but it is indeed a new organization. I asked Victoria to come on today just to give us a little history of the amalgamation, why it happened, some challenges associated with it and how they overcame those challenges, and just to sort of offer a perspective that shows us in the seed industry that we're not the only ones to have gone through an amalgamation like this, that others have done it and will do it down the road. So welcome, Victoria.
Thanks, Mark, and thanks for the invitation to participate this afternoon.
Well, thank you. And you have a little slideshow here. So yeah, I will turn the floor over to you, and then we will have a short Q&A before we wrap up.
Perfect, thanks. So I'm pleased to be here this afternoon to talk a bit about our merger or amalgamation between CIGI and Cereals Canada, like Mark mentioned, that we went through about 9-10 months ago. So I'll just start by introducing Cereals Canada. So Cereals Canada is a national not-for-profit organization, and we represent all sectors of the value chain. We have membership from coast to coast, and our membership includes the full gamut of the value chain from producers to processors. Our technical division, SIGI, is a renowned organization for both pre-market and in-market technical support for the Canadian grain sector. So really, we're stronger together. We have one organization that has all of the expertise within the cereal sector, and it's a single point of contact for both our members as well as our customers. We work really closely with other industry associations, some of whom are mentioned in this slide. And we can really work together within our membership and provide a collective industry perspective to our customers. So our board structure is split 50-50 representation between industry and farmers. And as I mentioned, we have cross-value chain representation. This slide indicates our membership. So like I mentioned, we're cross-value chain. So we have representation from producer groups, from life science companies, from grain handlers and export companies, as well as end-use customers or processors. This slide shows the beautiful smiling faces of our board member who have provided a lot of leadership and guidance through our merger process. So we're very thankful for them. So now to get into some of the meat and potatoes of our merger history. So as I mentioned, and as Mark mentioned in his introduction, this merger was the coming together of two organizations. SIGI, who was formed in the early 1970s by the Canadian Wheat Board with the purpose to really provide customer support and a market development service for Canadian wheat in particular. Cereals Canada was formed in 2013 following the dissolution of the Canadian Wheat Board. And the purpose was really to be that umbrella organization for the cereals value chain to provide support in areas of innovation, market development, market access, as well as advocacy and awareness. So our two organizations carried out really complementary work. We collaborated for many years on market development and support files, specifically our new crop missions, which we conduct every year, where we meet with our customers and talk about the quality of the new year's wheat crop. We also had some overlap between both the membership and the board representation from the two organizations. So from that perspective, that was one of the big drivers for us coming together. As you know, going through the Seeds Canada amalgamation right now, these mergers don't happen overnight. And it was similar with the Cereals Canada merger as well. This one also took about 5 years, so we're about along the same timelines as Seeds Canada. And so the fully operational amalgamation happened in last June. So since June, we've been working together as the new Cereals Canada. So the merger, as has been mentioned with the previous speakers talking about the Seeds Canada merger, it's really an opportunity to align efforts and become a stronger voice, have a more streamlined focus, and a bigger impact for all of the activities that our organization carries out. So the amalgamation enabled the elimination of the overlap that I mentioned in our board and membership. It also provided an opportunity for some administrative synergies. It really cemented in place the existing collaboration that's been going on for many years between the two organizations. And it's provided an opportunity to break down some of the operational silos between the two organizations and allow us to work together even better. So in my day-to-day activities focusing on research and innovation, I thought I'd provide some examples of how the merger between SiGe and Cereals Canada has provided some opportunities to foster innovation. So I've mentioned that our single organization allows us to align our cereals value chain with our customer needs. So really, we're the one-stop shop for any cereals files, whether they relate to market development, technical support, market access, policy issues, or research or innovation. We've also had the opportunity to work together on our digital market development platform. So as with everybody over the past year working under the constraints of COVID, we've had to provide a digital platform to do our new crop missions, which is, like I mentioned, an area that Cereals Canada and SiGe have partnered on for many years now. But this was a really good opportunity for us to set common goals, create a vision, and then execute on that vision to produce a really successful virtual platform to meet with our customers and continue that market development and customer support that's so integral to our organization. We've also had the opportunity to have partnership between programming and research. So that intelligence that we get from meeting with our customers, having conversations with them, understanding what their needs are, we're able to feed that back into the research community, into both the research priority setting process that we're involved in with Cereals Canada, as well as providing that link back to the research community, so that if there are particular changes or modifications that need to be made to our wheat from a quality perspective, for example, that information can be just a single feedback loop directly from our customers into the research community. So I'd love to take any questions at this point.
Thanks so much, Victoria. Thinking back to the amalgamation and going through that process, what's the biggest challenge that you faced in regards to that, and how did you guys sort of get over that and deal with it?
Yeah, so I think a lot of people will be able to relate to this. Our biggest challenge has been COVID. As I mentioned, we came together in the early summer last year, and that's right as we were exiting, I guess, our first lockdown in Manitoba, and we were able to at least join forces in the office and have some FaceTime together. But when you have two organizations coming together that have strong cultures and have worked together in the past, but this is really changing the way that we work together, that's definitely been a huge challenge. So how we've overcome that, I think we've adapted much like everybody has had to under these circumstances. So we have virtual meetings. We pick up the phone when we need to have a conversation with each other, and those types of things. I sort of alluded in some of in the past slide around rising innovation and the market development platform that we built. I think really having common goals, setting goals together, and then working towards them is what's really helped us move the needle on that one.
Yeah, I guess your amalgamation happened sort of at a challenging time with COVID, but in a way happened at a good time because you sort of, by coming together, you had more resources and just that partnership would really help you to sort of deal with that a lot more effectively, I would think.
Yeah, absolutely.
What's your advice for an industry like ours who is going through an amalgamation right now that Seeds Canada will be live as of February 1st? What would your number one piece of advice be for our industry as to how we can make the most of this opportunity?
For sure. Yeah, like I mentioned, mergers don't happen overnight. I mean, both the Seeds Canada and the Cereals Canada mergers have been, 5 years in the making. So patience, even though, these things take quite a bit of time. And then as you come together with a new team, you're going to go through those periods of forming, storming, norming, and performing. And it's important to recognize where you're at in that spectrum. And like I mentioned in my last example, to really set common goals and work toward them, understand where individual or department strengths are, where their areas of expertise are, and really work together and leverage those strengths so that you can accomplish the common goals. I think that's the biggest learning that I've had from the past year.
What was that list again, Victoria? Forming. So that when the teams form, storm, there's going to be some, perhaps conflict, but try to keep it positive. Norming is where you set, what your organizational informal norms are going to be, how you do things. And then performing is really where the rubber hits the road and you're able to accomplish great things together. It's a well-known merger curve that I'm sure there's been many amalgamations and mergers over the past couple of years. So I think there's lots of people that can provide a lot of good insights in that respect. Thank you so much, Victoria, for your insights today. This was wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you. Take care.
Ellen, I have one more question came in that I think is best directed probably at you, seeing as you've had some expertise at the International Seed Federation level. This person asks, I'm hearing a lot about ensuring cooperation in the implementation of international institutions like UPOV. How will Seeds Canada approach the International Treaty on Plant Genetic Resources for Food and Agriculture? Will Seeds Canada have a part in Canada meeting the objectives of this treaty, like seed agroecology and farmer seed security? Do you have any insights there?
So that's a really big question.
It's a big one, yes.
So I guess first of all, certainly what I would envision for Seeds Canada. So right now, CSTA is a member of International Seed Federation, and we, I guess, put forward our thoughts or on through ISF as a member of ISF. So what I would think is Seeds Canada will take on that membership with ISF. So that's the first part. The second part of that is, Ag Canada has representation at that table. AFC, I think, represents Canada at that table and brings forward the Canadian perspective as well. The last part about having a part in meeting the objectives of the treaty, I'm not really sure quite how to answer that one, I guess. I mean, certainly, as we move forward, you would think there would be policies in general put in place that might support those objectives, but I don't really have a specific answer on what that looks like. But yeah. So yeah, we would move forward under ISF's platform or policy position, I guess, and then AFC would have one for Canada as well. So hopefully that answers that question.
And one quick final question before we end for the day with regards to seed coatings. Does Seed Canada have any committees or anything like that involved directly with seed coatings specifically?
So we, again, under CSTA and in the Policy and Issues Committee, there is a Seed Applied Technologies Committee, which deals with those seed applied issues. So seed coatings would fall under that. And if there's more information on Seeds Canada, the website, which, you'll make available through the recording, was on that second slide or first slide of
that was it will be effective it will be live on February 1st, and it's
correct.
seeds-canada.ca.
I think so. Yeah, I'd have to go back and look, but
seeds-canada.ca.
Right. And I'm sure it'll be put out via social media as well, the links.
Yeah. Excellent. Thank you, Ellen, for your insights today. Thank you to all our speakers, Ellen, Eric, Jeff, Victoria. Thank you so much for your time today, guys.
Thank you, Mark.
Try and stay wherever you are. Try and stay warm.
Do. There you go. Thank you.
I just want to take one last opportunity to thank our sponsors as well, SeCan and 2020 C Labs, for their support. And just a reminder that this webinar was recorded and will be made available on our website, germination.ca, very soon. Thank you to our audience for spending your lunch hour with us. Take care, everybody. This is Mark Zinkowitz of Germination signing off.